Hello, nerds and nerdettes. Welcome back to the channel. If you guys cannot tell by the sound of my voice, I am somehow sick yet again, but the show must go on, especially when the video that I'm recording for you guys is our favorite type of video that I love to shoot, which is, of course, my monthly haul video. This haul video will be everything that I picked up in the month of April. I think there's a little bit of carryover, but not by much. So without further ado, let's jump into the haul. But I do want to remind you guys that if you are looking for any of these books or any of the books that I've reviewed on this channel, to head on over to the channel sponsor, organicpricebooks.com. Use that discount code STAYNERDY for $2 off your order and also to help support the channel. And thank you for those of you that have been using that code. But without further ado, now we can actually jump into the haul, starting with manga. First up for manga, we have Soul Eater in these Square Enix hardcover, I guess, deluxe editions, or I think that the perfect editions. Such beautiful books. I've probably collected a multitude of these volumes in other haul videos as well. I'm slowly trying to collect it. I have not started reading it, but I have watched the anime. I've gotten mixed reactions to if the anime is close to the manga or not. I have no clue now. I got people telling me it isn't, people telling me it is, so I guess I'll have to find out once I dive into it. But these are super beautiful books. Absolutely love the trim size, love the treatment of the material. We have glossy pages inside, everything, just beautiful books. Probably very close to the quality of treatment that the Full Metal Alchemist Full Metal editions have. So definitely a must pick up, especially if you're a fan of the series. Check them out, see how you feel about them, see how you feel about the manga. And last but not least, a little bit light on manga this month, we do have The Girl from the Other Side, Volume 3. I think I initially said in one of my haul videos that I believed that this is going to be collected in 3 volumes, but I'm hearing now that there's going to be a 4th volume, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be 4 volumes because I trust other people even more than myself. But such an amazing manga. This is a manga that whether you're a comic book reader, manga reader, novelist, whatever it may be, you should definitely be checking out. This treatment of the material of the book with the gold trim, I'm not sure if you can pick that up, just absolutely beautiful book. Not super glossy pages, so you get really deep darks, blacks, inks throughout, which definitely contribute to the story. Such a beautiful book, and an even more beautiful story that I think everyone should be checking out. But that does wrap up manga, unfortunately, so we'll head to my next category, which is going to be my indie titles. First up for indie titles is going to be The Boys, Dear Becky by Dynamite Comics. This is I guess a wrap-up of the story of The Boys. This does take place after that 3-volume set of omnibuses, or however you may have collected it. This is the cherry on top. This pretty much follows not all of the characters. I don't want to hint too much at exactly who it follows and what takes place, but it is a wrapping up of the story of The Boys. You get a little bit of a short style story being told after the events of The Boys. So if you're a fan of The Boys, definitely worth checking out. I don't think it's as fun or as raunchy or crazy as The Boys in general. It is a little meta, which is very much enjoyable, but definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of The Boys. It's just kind of hard to talk about without diving into details, but this is the actual ending of The Boys, if you will. But we'll jump to my next pickup, which will be volumes 2 and 6 of Invincible in the Ultimate Collection hardcovers. I know those hardcover compendiums are coming out and everybody is all about them, but this is actually my preferred way to pick up. These are oversized, and while they don't contain 50 issues like the compendiums, I just think they're going to be much more beautiful on the shelf, especially with the Savage Dragon Ultimate collections. Super excited to finally be recollecting this. I initially had this not only in singles, but also in the paperback compendiums, but I'm now upgrading. This is one of my favorite series. It probably doesn't need an introduction anymore because of that Amazon Prime show that everybody pretty much watched and loved, but definitely worth checking out. This is the best thing to come out of Image for a lot of people. Blood, gore, heart, emotion, everything you possibly want, all wrapped up into one, not to mention completely action-packed. Definitely check it out if you haven't. This is a great way to collect it, but there's a multitude of ways to collect it these days, from trades to paperback compendiums, hardcover compendiums, ultimate collections. There's library editions that are getting resolicited and reprinted, so get out, check out Invincible if you haven't already. But we can head to the next release, which is going to be the highly anticipated Sentient by Jeff Lemire. This is by TKO Studios. Sorry, apparently still delirious. I actually have not read this, first off, so that's super exciting for me. But I have heard it's very much like Lord of the Flies, but with a sci-fi twist. That's the way it's been sold to me, at least. But it's Jeff Lemire, so it's probably going to hit the mark. It's probably going to be awesome. But if that wasn't enough to sell you, then the treatment of this book is absolutely amazing. We do have, I don't know if you can see, some glossy blue, I guess, trim of the pages. Absolutely beautiful. And then it actually is a hardcover, but it has a little bit of a, I don't know, half dust jacket on the back, which honestly kind of gets in the way. You have to be very much careful when handling this book because you can rip this. So very beautiful book. Very excited to have it in the library and finally get to read it because I've heard nothing but good things. And even if it wasn't worth the read, I mean, the look of this book alone would definitely sell me. Next up is the first of two Rick Remender books that I have in this haul. This is The End League. Like I said, it is Rick Remender, so of course it is extremely oversized or library edition, even though this is a Dark Horse. It's Rick Remender, so it always gets this treatment, it seems like. Have not checked it out, The End League, story itself, but a lot of people have been commenting because I'm holding this video, or this book in a lot of my videos. So a lot of people were commenting saying, the End League's awesome, check it out, blah, blah, blah. So definitely going to be checking this out soon. Super excited to have it. I think it looks right up my alley. Again, such a beautiful book, beautiful treatment. Again, anything Rick Remender is just immaculate as far as the treatment. And also, I got it from my favorite local comic book shop, which is Third Eye Comics. So I also put up a video doing a brief walkthrough and a collaboration with Third Eye Comics. So if you guys would like to check that out, please do. But definitely going to do a review on this eventually, so look forward to that. Next up is another Rick Remender title and my last indie title in my haul, which is Tokyo Ghost by Rick Remender. Sorry if my voice keeps cutting out. This is yet another book that I haven't checked out yet. Heard nothing but good things. I've said multiple times that I've really checked out a lot of more popularized indie titles or smaller titles, such as Invincible, Walking Dead, titles like that. But I really am getting my feet wet in the indie titles game, which is why I have so many of them, it seems like, every haul. And this is yet another title that I haven't got to check out yet, and I'm super excited to dive into. This is oversized because it's a Rick Remender title, so of course, but if the cover doesn't sell you enough, which it totally does for me, then obviously Sean Murphy's art will. You have two legendary creators in the game working together, telling a absolutely awesome story that I can't wait to check out. A lot of people's overviews and reviews of the book have just completely sold me on the idea of it, and I cannot wait to check it out and pump out a review for you guys. But that does wrap up my indies section of this haul, so we'll head to the big two, starting with DC Comics. First up for DC Comics is DC versus Vampires, volumes 1 and 2. I've read a decent amount of this. I believe at least what's collected between these two hardcovers. It gives me a lot of deceased vibes, but with vampires. I've said in multiple hauls, I do have a very much guilty pleasure towards zombie slash post-apocalyptic style stories. So I was immediately pulled towards this. You do have James Tynion on writing duties, who obviously he's a very well-known name in the community, in the creators space in general. So I can't imagine it being bad by any means. The only negative I have heard is that a lot of the events that happen in the spin-off titles or tie-ins do impact the story, so it's kind of hard to juggle between all of the titles and kind of figure out what's going on, but that's fine by me. These covers are awesome. The art is awesome. It's the DC Universe taking on vampires. You have me sold no matter what. Definitely excited that they're releasing these in hardcovers as well, even though I'm sure I'll be kicking myself when a lot of these titles that I'm collecting end up being omnibuses, but that does wrap up DC versus Vampires, and we'll head to the next hardcover. Next up is Batman Spawn by Todd McFarlane and Greg Capullo. Capullo, sorry, I don't know how I pronounced that bad. So this is the deluxe edition, not the standard size hardcover that collected the 1994 or 1990s Batman and Spawn, but this is the deluxe edition that collects the 2022 and the 90s kind of mashup of the two characters. I have read the 90s one, but not the 2022. It's kind of exactly what you would expect. Two very, I guess, similar in aesthetic as far as the darker characters being teamed up, kind of fight each other, then teaming up. Your kind of standard team-up book. But you do have Greg Capullo art throughout, Todd McFarlane's 90s style of writing and putting these characters together. It's just a bit of fun. It's not something to take serious, but I am a little weirded out with that they did release the standard edition hardcover when this deluxe edition was right behind the corner. So I hope you guys did wait on this deluxe edition if you guys happened to maybe accidentally pick up that hardcover. But super excited to get it in. I love Batman and I love Spawn, so why not check it out? But we'll move to the next title. Next up is Batman Death of the Family, or Death in the Family, sorry. This is the deluxe edition. I am not collecting any of those earlier omnibuses for Batman. I may collect Superman's, if anything, but any of the other characters I'm kind of staying away from, because Silver and Golden Age comic books are definitely not my thing. But a lot of those very important and pivotal storylines I do plan to pick up, such as Death in the Family. Obviously, this is a story that encompasses or has the story of the death of Jason Todd taking place in it, the second Robin of Batman's career, I guess. Very important story in Batman's kind of life and his mythos, as well as the community in general. So super excited to have it in deluxe edition, especially because I'm not going to be picking up those omnibuses, but absolutely awesome story. Love that the community was kind of tasked with voting on if Jason Todd lived or died, which is a very interesting story if you guys want to look anything about that up, because it's a really deep rabbit hole to kind of jump down, but it is a great story. You do have some classic, beautiful art. Obviously, it is a little bit wordier because this is during those earlier eras of comic books in general, so that's to be expected, but it's a very important story that Batman goes through. Next up is JLA Tower of Babel. This is one of the orphaned stories from that JLA omnibus, unfortunately, because that only collected what was written by Grant Morrison, even though this took place kind of during that tenure. But this is the infamous story that follows Batman's contingency plans being used against him and his friends in the Justice League. I won't go too much deeper into that, just because I feel like a lot of people have not checked this out. Absolutely awesome story. Really shows just how vast Batman's preparation is and how powerful he is as a hero. And it's a very interesting concept that having too much knowledge or being too prepared can be kind of your downfall in a way also. But very awesome story. I wish it was collected in that omnibus, but since it's not, I did pick up the deluxe edition. Fingers crossed that this doesn't mean that we'll just start getting JLA omnibuses, not by Grant Morrison, but who knows. But super happy to have it in the library, so that orphaned kind of story is at least collected in my collection. Next up is World's Finest by also Mark Waid and Dan Mora. This is a modern story that just recently came out in issues that, or stories that are being collected now in single issues. For some reason, I cannot say that correctly. Such a great series that came out. I feel like during this era of DC, there's been a lot that's been hit or miss for majority of readers, but this felt like old days. This felt like Superman and Batman getting back to their basics and just doing good old-fashioned superhero stories. Mark Waid, the legend, on the writing duties. Dan Mora, who's probably one of the hottest modern-day artists in the community or in the hobby in general. So super excited to get this in. I've already read this, but I wanted it in hardcover, even though I'm sure eventually it'll become an omnibus, but definitely check this out. I know modern DC is a little bit of a struggle, but this title, as well as the next one I'm about to talk about, is 100% checking out, I promise. And the other title worth checking out in modern DC is Batman by Zdarsky and Jimenez. Jorge Jimenez being probably the other artist that is absolutely booming along with Dan Mora. Those two guys are probably the two hottest artists in the game currently. And Chip Zdarsky is yet another writer that has very much been well established, especially telling stories of darker heroes, which of course Batman falls into the category of. This failsafe story, very similar to the Tower of Babel story, pertains to the preparation of Batman backfiring once again. So somewhat revisiting stories that we all know and love, but putting his own spin, his own taste on it. And I very much enjoyed this book. Yet another time we get to see Batman being why he's so powerful and why he's such an amazing hero. There's so many just Batman events where he just barely makes it by the skin of his teeth, but because he's that good, he just does. And it is such a good read. Cannot recommend it enough. Between World's Finest and this title in DC, modern DC era comic books are 100% worth checking out. I highly, highly implore you to, if not get these hardcovers, read it digitally, do whatever you have to do, because they are really great, and they are honestly back to basics, superhero comic book fun, and definitely worth checking out. First up for Marvel, we do have, admittedly, full transparency, a book I 100% planned to pass on, but I am extremely happy that I did not, and that is the XMen animated series, the Adaptions Omnibus. That's still a mouthful. I 100% plan to kind of pass on this because obviously I've watched the show before. I felt I didn't need a comic book adaptation for something that I've watched. Me typically actually liking adaptations, so I kind of had a little bit of regret deep in my nerdy heart, but I did decide to pick it up and do a review not only for this channel, but also Organic Price Books channel. So if you want to watch those reviews, or at least the review for this channel, I'll leave that up above. I am beyond happy that I did not pass on it. It was so much fun to read and experience. It is just 90s goodness in a book. It does follow very strictly the story that the cartoon does follow, but it is somewhat told in a more mature way, which I very much enjoyed. Definitely worth checking out if you're an X-Men fan, especially if you're a fan of the Claremont Lee stuff, because this 100% gives that vibe, because that's what it was kind of or the show was inspired by, and then this was adapted by the show. So my X-Men fans, check it out. Let me know what you guys think down below, because I feel like a lot of people slept on this book, and I almost did as well, and I'm happy that I didn't. So let me know what you guys think, but we'll head to the next book. And next up is another book that I almost slept on, which is The Guardians of the Galaxy by Brian Michael Bendis, Volume 1, the omnibus. I admittedly am not a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I only really enjoyed the DNA run, but once I was doing my brief flip through for my review, it kind of dawned on me that this is the run in comics that I was collecting in single issues that I loved so much. This is the run where we get to see Tony Stark join the Guardians of the Galaxy, as well as Agent Venom, as well as the symbiote lore kind of get delved into deeper, which is such a blast, such a aspect of this story that I very much enjoyed. I'm not a fan of Guardians, but between the DNA run and this run, they are two of my favorite runs in general. I did do a review on this book, which I'll leave up above for you guys to check out, but it is such a blast. I know Brian Michael Bendis is getting a little bit of heat currently, but this is him at Marvel doing some of his best writing, and I love how opened he keeps the door for the Guardians with a ever-changing roster. I'm always a huge fan of team books that kind of do that, introduce us to new characters or new team members. That's very much what this book does, and typically I stay away from the cosmic stuff other than kind of this book and the next book we're going to talk about, which we'll go ahead and jump to that book now, which is none other than the War of Kings omnibus. This is the reprint. This is technically the fourth book out of 5 in the modern cosmic saga. I had to do some quick math in my head. I typically, as I was saying in the last one, kind of stay away from cosmic stuff, but the modern cosmic saga is absolutely a masterpiece of storytelling in general for pretty much, I would say, all comic book readers. Such a blast, really diving deep into the Guardians of the Galaxy, XMen, the cosmic universe involving the Shire Empire, Skrulls, I mean, you name it. This dives deep into the space element of Marvel Comics. I do have a review for this book on my channel, which I can leave up above, of course, but such an amazing book, such an amazing just story in general, those 5 books to read. Absolutely amazing from beginning to end. If you do get your hands on all 5 books, I highly recommend reading them one after another, like a film or something like that, because it is immaculate. But such an amazing book. So happy to have it. Now, all I really need is Road to War of Kings and Realm of Kings, and I'll be done with the modern cosmic saga, which I'm super pumped for. But that does wrap up this book, so let's head to the final book of the haul, which is going to be the highly, highly, highly anticipated Savage Avengers Omnibus. A lot of people were very excited for this book, as well as getting a lot of FOMO around this book because of the fact that it may very well not possibly ever be reprinted because of the inclusion of Conan and the rights of Conan being traded from Marvel to Titan Comics. So the likeliness of this omnibus ever being reprinted are slim to none, even though we don't know officially yet. But I'm super happy to have it in the collection, have a review on the channel for you guys to check out. If you haven't picked it up yet, I do recommend you guys picking it up, whether you're a fan or not. It's a great collector's piece because of that possibility of no reprint, as well as it just being a super fun and action-packed story with blood, gore. Obviously, you have Conan doing Conan things, but you have amazing characters also, such as Dr. Voodoo, who's somewhat an obscure character, Wolverine coming face-to-face with Conan, Doctor Strange being having a lot of his mystical elements kind of explored upon, Elektra, a lot of awesome characters being introduced and kind of explained and given their time to shine, which I'm always a huge fan of. Such a great book. I have the review. I highly recommend you guys check that out, but that does wrap up the final book for today's haul. And that does wrap up today's video. I hope I was not too delirious shooting this video. It was definitely a struggle, to say the least. I definitely felt a little scatterbrained and extremely hot because of these lights, but we'll make it. Let me know what you guys picked up, though. Comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys picked up or what I maybe slept on, because obviously not everything is on my radar. I pick up what I can or what I'm interested in, but there's sometimes that I sleep on some really big, amazing titles. So I'd love to hear from you guys what you picked up and what I should be picking up. Also, let me know down below what you would love to see a review on in this haul. I'm always open to doing a review on anything you see in this video. Whatever you guys kind of want from me, I'm definitely going to put that on the top of the list of pumping out. But other than that, if you have not joined the Illuminati, of course, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you'd like to do me a favor so we can hit the channel's goal of 1K subs, hit that thumbs up icon. It really helps the algorithm. And also, if you did enjoy today's video or you've enjoyed any of my previous videos, hit that bell icon. That way you can get notified anytime I put out content. I'm officially back in town, so content is going to be regular once again on social medias and my YouTube, so look forward to that. But other than that, thank you and stay nerdy.